Yeah, I do think that he's getting a little jumpy. I mean, he's probably having some Angel flashbacks here, where at least through the first two games.
Oh, blame the Angels. That's great.
Hello and welcome back to Dodger Debate. I'm Jack Harris, the LA Times Dodger beat writer, along with our columnists, Bill Plaschke and Dylan Hernández. And guys, this feels familiar. The playoffs just started, and the Dodgers season is on the brink of elimination. They lost 6-5 tonight to the San Diego Padres. All 6 runs came in the second inning, where there were defensive miscues and bad pitching by Walker Buehler. A Teoscar Hernandez grand slam got him back within 1. And then the offense went missing. Is this kind of deja vu to what we've seen the last 2 postseasons?
Feels exactly like it. It feels exactly like all this intensity the Dodgers were supposed to match. They didn't have it. All this revenge for Dave Roberts' honor, getting the ball thrown out by Manny Machado. They didn't do anything about it. Very disappointing, but almost very predictable.
I mean, I think, again, I keep saying this. I said this in the winter. I said this in the spring. I said this before the trade deadline. I wrote this the week before the playoffs. They don't have pitching, period, right? I mean, we can, we're grading on such a curve now that it's kind of like, oh, thank God, like Walker Buehler made it through 5. And look, that took some guts, right? I mean, he really got his teeth kicked in that second inning. Obviously there was some stuff that was out of his control. The ball that Freeman threw off Machado's back, whatever, into the outfield. That said, he also didn't pitch well, right? And the problem is that it was kind of an extension of what we saw in the regular season, where it's like, well, this guy better come up with something new. They put themselves in this type of position, right? Because it's like, well, let's buy okay, we have a bunch of guys who are like injury prone or have injury history or might get hurt or coming back from something. But if we have like 10 of them, surely 3 or 4 of them will be standing in October. And sure, yeah, you did get one of them, right? Walker Buehler is one of those guys who's still standing. We probably, that said, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's standing.
Yeah, he's standing. But they were counting on the best case scenario here, which is that he was going to look like the Walker Buehler before. Right. And I still think the inside's there. And he's going to be a great kind of high ceiling project for somebody next year. It could be the Dodgers even, but you kind of need something that you can rely on at this stage of the season, and they just don't have it. And now, they're going into their elimination game. Sending their true ace out there, TBD. TBD is the ace, Plaschke. TBD.
Against Dylan Cease. Jack, can you explain to the viewers why Manny wasn't, why that play was legal?
So let's go through, this whole inning. The Machado play is obviously a huge moment in how that inning played out. It starts with, like you said, there's the automatic ball in his at-bat, which leads to a single. You get the next at-bat. I can't even remember who hit the ball now. I guess Jackson Merrill hits a ground ball to first base. Freddie Freeman gets it on the grass. From his knees, throws to second, and then it skips off Machado's shoulder into the outfield, and things kind of fall apart from there. Here's the way this rule works.
He was out of the baseline.
He was out of the baseline.
He should have been out.
Except the baseline rule only applies if it's in a rundown situation or a tag situation. That was not either of them. So there's no baseline. It's an unrestricted baseline at that point. Now there is another rule, which is interference. If Manny Machado had turned around and looked at the throw and then, Macumbo swatted it, that would be interference. What happened there is a gray area, and what is a controversial, but I think a pretty heads-up play by Manny Machado. Walker Buehler and Miguel Rojas both thought that there should have been interference on that play.
I did too. That'd be 3 of us.
Freddie Freeman didn't go that far, although it kind of seemed like he was thinking, well, that's clearly not a natural play. But he also pointed out, I would have done the same thing in that situation. We are instructed to do the same thing in that situation because it is a gray area. Now, you can maybe say, typically what's supposed to happen is the runner, can't start on one line and then like Machado did, then do the banana route when you're halfway to the bag. Miguel Rojas said when he asked the second base umpire why there was no interference on that play, the umpire told him that he was looking at the base, anticipating a bang-bang play there, and not Machado's route. Apparently none of the other umpires saw it. And it's a controversial play.
And it's not, and Dave couldn't have protested.
and then it's not a reviewable play.
That's insane.
It's not one because it's
everything should be reviewable. Everything.
Because that play is a umpire judgment call. Even Dave Roberts said, on that play, it's not a tag, so there is no baseline that he has to follow, and it's a heady play. And I think that moment, and then the way the rest of that inning played out, is a great epitome of how these two teams handled a really high-pressure situation. Manny Machado, after all of the drama with his throw at the dugout and what Dave Roberts said, and then his own manager defending him before the game, in that moment recognizes, here's the play I need to make. A batter later, Miguel Rojas makes the incorrect decision on a potential double play that he should have just flipped to second base to get a sure out. Instead, he tries to do too much, playing through an adductor injury. Instead of getting one out on that play, gets zero because he gets beat to the bag at second and he doesn't throw to first in time. A run scores and things kind of fall apart from there. In playoff series, especially if you're not going to get good pitching, it comes down to executing in little moments, having the awareness and the ability to respond when there's 50,000 people screaming around you. And what happened there is Manny Machado, controversial or not, made a heads-up play. Miguel Rojas and some of his teammates did not. And what should have been, maybe a 1 or 2 run inning devolves into a 6-run mess that even with a grand slam the very next inning, they can't come back.
And furthermore, the Padres' best player stood up and made a great play. The Dodgers' best player, Shohei Otani. Dylan, where's Shohei Otani? Where's he at? Struck out looking. Is this too big for Shohei?
No, I don't think so. I just think he caught Dodgeritis. Like, you feel these things.
Dodgeritis?
Dodgeritis is a...
You wrote that he was the cure for
I thought he
Dodgeritis.
was the cure.
You said he was the difference.
I thought he was immune and that he was also the vaccine. Turned out to not be true, I guess.
I mean, what have you made of his at-bats? Because I think since that first game, you see tonight, Michael King goes hard away early in an at-bat and then gets some soft. Tanner Scott has challenged him with a few fastballs tonight. He got 3 fastballs in the zone, didn't get any of them. And then Tanner Scott, and something that left-handers have been doing to Otani, throws an outside slider, anticipating that he's not going to chase it because he's been trying so hard to stay disciplined on those kind of pitches. Like, to me, it looks like the Padres have come up with a pretty good game plan against him. And then the hittable pitches he's had.
I thought the first at-bat was interesting because all 5 of those, I think it was 5 pitches, struck out on 5 pitches, none of them were in the zone, right? Every one of them was
way
outside.
in.
Yeah, and he swung at some, right? So, yeah, I do think that he's getting a little jumpy.
I got the perfect acquisition for the Dodgers this winter. They need to acquire Tanner Scott. He's the Shohei stopper. 1 for 12, 6 strikeouts. Get him on your team.
3 strikeouts in the series. Like, it's been impressive. And then, you don't have... I mean, the concerning thing to me about this game, outside of all the second inning mess, is that the lineup got a jolt of energy. They got momentum back with Teoscar Hernandez's grand slam, and then they make 16 straight outs. And they do the kind of thing that we've seen the Dodgers do in these postseasons year after year, which is not really seem to have a plan that they commit to. They're chasing pitches out of the zone. They're not punishing fastballs that are over the plate. Like that stretch of the game felt so reminiscent to what we've seen the last 2 years. And that's the thing that, even with a lineup that I think is legitimately better, definitely than last year and probably 2 years ago, to see that happen again is a troubling sign.
Well, but that's why you need the pitching, right? Is because it is tough when, what was the first kid that came out? Jeremiah
Estrada,
right? I mean,
the one who wants to move Game 5 out of Dodger Stadium.
I mean, he comes out throwing gas.
The pitching is a problem. It's problem A. But, you got back in the game against a starter you were hitting well, and then you can't do anything against him. You can't do anything against the bullpen. And, for a team that I think all felt confident was going to be able to hit better in the postseason.
And terrible at-bats late in the game.
Right.
Will Smith, Max Muncy, Edmund, terrible at-bats.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, again, the other problem that we've been talking about since the winter, which is kind of the bottom of that lineup, right? I mean, we kind of got, hoodwinked here in that first game, right, where they produced, and so it's all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, look, they got on base for Otani, whatever. But I don't think I mean, I don't know. Did you ever look at the bottom of that lineup and think like, oh, these guys are going to be hitting in October?
No, I didn't think the bottom of the lineup was going to hit 800 in the playoffs. But I thought that bottom of the lineup, it's not like last year. Like, Tommy Edman, it should be a real player. Gavin Lux has been a real player for a lot of the second half of the season. Miguel Rojas hit 300 for most of the year. To me, what's concerning is that even in a game where you're not down 8 runs, right, or like they were in some of those D-back games last year, like that was the explanation for why they didn't hit last year. We were down so much, it's so hard to hit in that setting, pitchers can attack you, and all that's true. But now you're in a one-run game, you have momentum, you're facing most of these Padre relievers for a second or third time in the series, and to me, like the fact that not just you don't score, but you generate nothing, the at-bats look as bad as he mentioned, to me that's a sign of like a team that gets in a big moment in a hostile crowd and can't respond to it very well.
Yeah, see, I mean, to me, though, there is kind of like the difference of, right, just kind of like the pitching, right? The Dodgers have pitching that can win you a Tuesday game against the Rockies, right? Sure. And I think, like, again, like the bottom of that lineup, you know, frankly, a lot of the season you're feasting on, like, bad pitching, right? This is like kind of, this is a different game here, right? I mean, and even before this game, I mean, I was just kind of asking myself, right? I mean, do you even consider dropping Otani down the lineup? Just because, like, I don't think you can count on those guys to hit in these spots, right? And the thing is, like, when the bottom, you know, third to bottom half of the lineup isn't producing at all, then you can, right, if you're as the opponent, now you can choose which relievers you use when, right? It makes it easier for you from that standpoint, which makes it easier in turn to shut down the key guys.
Yeah. Bottom line is, more than $1 billion is about to get bloodied and bruised and sent into next season.
Like $1.5 billion.
I had the question. You all think can they win tomorrow?
I do think they can win tomorrow. The Padres are going to go with Dylan Cease on short rest, which I actually don't like. The Dodgers hit Cease well the first game. He's basically a 2-pitch pitcher. This is going to be the first time they've seen the same pitcher in a series since like 2021, which I think does benefit them. And their bullpen has been lights out this entire series outside of, you know, the Michael Grove inning in game 2.
This all sets up
going with a bullpen game. I actually kind of like the matchup tomorrow, but I don't like the way that they responded to moments of adversity tonight and how that might.
So it all sets up for you, Darvish, to pitch a deciding game 5 at Dodger Stadium.
Well, that's true, and I wouldn't like that.
I wouldn't like that about the Padres at all.
On that note, we will be back here tomorrow, either talking about going back to LA for game 5 or another Dodger organizational failure, as they like to say when they get bounced this time of the year.
And they're going to do the same thing next year. 10 more pitching lottery tickets, and we'll be back here. Well, I mean, this is becoming like pathological, right? I mean, this is
we're in the same place we were 2 years ago. Exact same place.
Well, actually, 2 years ago we did the video right there. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching.